All right, AP Psych. This is going to be our last big theorist. He is Erikson. He's going to look at social development throughout the lifespan. So in this one, there's going to be multiple stages. There's going to be multiple stages in each of the age groups we've looked at: childhood, adolescence, and then young adulthood and adulthood. And what we're looking at here is the environment is going to drive this social development. You can also look at these different qualities as potential personality traits. You can also look at them as skills within the social environment. But each of these stages is going to give us a different trait, skill, however you want to look at it. So Erikson himself, he's going to start out as a psychoanalytic psychologist. He's going to study lifetime social development. He's going to look at how we develop into a fully functioning adult socially, or an adult potentially that has problems in certain areas. He's going to explain how these problems are created and what stage of life they are in. Failure to master does not stop development. So, like if Piaget, a person did not master logical thinking, then they're never going to master and move on to the last stage. Here, you're not going to stop developing. You may struggle. You may actually go back through it later on in life and correct the potential problems. It just depends on how big the problem is or how destructive it is to the social environment or the social development of the person. So the environment is going to play a key role. Your personality and your social behavior is going to be explained through these different environmental changes in the mastery of conflicts. Basically, what you're going to look at is you're going to see a common theme of there's going to be new people and new aspects of society that the person or the child is going to be exposed to. So here you have the different stages. Notice there's a versus. This shows the good or the pro-social development, and here you have the anti-social, anti-personality development. But notice your scope of people changes, so it gets bigger. It gets broader, so we have to be able to react to that. So first stage is trust versus mistrust. This is going to go kind of hand in hand with Ainsworth, the different types of attachment. The only difference here is it's going to be trust instead of attachment. So birth to 18 months, the important event is feeding. So the infant starts to develop trust for the parents. Obviously, they provide them with food and comfort. And so stranger anxiety will go hand in hand. Outcome, a favorable outcome if the child's basic needs are met, they'll have hope, trust of the environment. If, for instance, the environment does not meet the baby's needs, and specifically we're really talking about the parents' interaction, then the fear of the future, and then difficulty trusting others. So basically what we look at here is this is the first social relationship for the child. It can't even trust the first social relationship. It meets its basic needs weren't met. So it's going to have difficulty trusting others throughout its life. Next one's going to be autonomy versus shame and doubt. 18 months to 3 years. Important event here will be toilet training. Now, obviously, there's other events here also. You could look at motor movement, talking, learning, different things like that. But Erikson's going to point out that toilet training is going to be the big event. There are other big events too. Child energies are directed towards physical skills. And obviously, learning these skills, the child is not going to master right away. So how it reacts to that shame and doubt and how the environment helps them react is going to influence it. So favorable outcome they'll have the ability to exercise choice. They have started to be able to control themselves, their bodily processes. Unfavorable, loss of self-control. The child itself will have impulse issues throughout the rest of its life, and it's because the first task it was met with, it could have been over punishment, it could have been ridiculed, so now it's starting to deflate our ego, so now we don't trust our decisions, we have difficulty making choices, especially the right choices there. Third stage, initiative versus guilt, 3 to 6. Independence, and we look at really with this as independent play. The child becomes assertive. Takes more initiative, becomes more forceful. I want to do it. I'm a big boy. I can do it. No, let me do it. Different things like that. Outcome, purpose, the ability to initiate activities, think for itself. Really, what we're looking at there. Unfavorable, fear of punishment, self-restriction, and showing off. So the toddler here, to counteract not being successful or not being able to control themselves, whenever they're not the center of attention, they'll begin to show off. In new environments, they'll really won't want to take risks, so they'll kind of be loners within the group. Competence versus inferiority, 6 to 12, schooling here. Again, now we're not only learning physical skills, now we're learning cognitive skills. So obviously, as you learn those skills, you may fail at first. So the environment, how it reacts. Does it pick up the child? Does it demonstrate the correct behavior, the correct skill, the correct way to solve the problem? So it now can relate to the world if it's learning, essentially. Unfavorable, it'll feel inadequate if it's made fun of, if it's ridiculed, if it doesn't get the help it needs. Then those feelings of inadequacy will just continue to build and kind of infiltrate all the rest or the other aspects of life. Adolescence, identity versus role confusion. The important event here is forming cliques and peer groups. This is going to allow you to develop that identity. So teens must achieve a self-identity while deciphering their roles. So going back to the adolescence screencast, the more active you are in school, in your life, in social aspects, the quicker you're going to learn this identity. So if, for example, the identity we choose is accepted by our cliques, peer groups, our family, we will see ourselves as an integrated person. We'll start to see ourselves, our role within the bigger picture, society, different things like that, what we potentially want to do with our life. Unfavorable, we'll become confused over who we are. We can potentially become outcasts. We can become rebels. People who try to find themselves through not necessarily pro-social behaviors, but anti-social behaviors. Usually becomes outcast. Throughout the rest of their lives, become loners in really problematic where there's a lot of bullying. That role confusion can mass itself or turn itself into like your mass shooter, your school shooters. So that's why why a lot of schools are trying to interact or create multiple ways for teens to socially interact. That's just to hopefully prevent the role confusion of teenagers. Intimacy versus isolation, young adulthood. This is where the age ranges for Erikson will be pushed back. More people are going to college. More people are usually trying to establish somewhat of a career before they have a family. So this goes probably to the later 20s, earlier 30s. Important event is finding your significant other. We try to develop or find someone we can marry, settle down with, complete us. Favorable, we'll find love. We'll be able to commit ourselves. Unfavorable, we'll avoid commitments. We'll distance ourselves from others. People who are single within friend groups will usually start to necessarily kind of move their way out. They have less in common with probably the norm of the group. So now they're trying to do other things. They're more committed to their career at this point. Generativity for stagnation, middle adulthood, parenting. We assume the role of parents. How are we going to affect the younger generation or the next generations? Are we going to pass on our lineage? Favorable, we have care, widening concern. unfavorable, self-indulgence, boredom, interpersonal impoverishment, midlife crisis. If a person is married at this point, they may get divorced. They may date younger people. They're basically trying to do a quick reset. They're not happy with where they're at this stage. So now they start to live younger. Now, these are, the older guys who decide to grow their hair long. You may have seen the older gentlemen who are bald up front, but they keep the ponytail in the back. That could be a sign of it. The last stage itself is integrity versus despair. So, late adulthood, usually retirement plus. Notice people are working longer, more years, so this is probably more about 65, even into the 70s. Start to reflect on our life. We start to prepare for death. You start to see, did we do what we wanted to do? Are we happy with our decisions? This is where you have, and I like to always say, you have two types of old people, or two types of grandparents. Grandparents that you enjoy being around. They're fun. They're active. They're not bitter. They're not complaining. They're not always lecturing you, things like that. So you have those, the joyful older people, and then you have the bitter older people who are disgusted with life. They have despair over death. So now they will usually take that out on the younger generation. They'll be angry, kind of the get off my lawn, get off my porch types of old people. So those are the different outcomes. Those are the different parts to the stages themselves, and we'll probably do a couple different review activities with this also.